Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Edward Trapunski, and as always, I'm privileged and honored to be the chair of the jury for the Canadian Jewish Literary Awards. And this is our 9th successful year. And the founding team who believed that we could do it, besides myself, were Judy Stoffman, Judy Gert, Sarah Horowitz, Alain Goldschlager, Michael Posner, and Adam Fürstenberg. Adam began the Canadian Jewish Book Awards in 1989, which was 33 years ago. And he joined the Canadian Jewish Literary Awards to keep the spirit of that going, and may his memory be for a blessing. These are difficult times. We're mourning the horrendous events where innocent civilians, children and women, were gunned down in their homes and in their beds. By being here, you're showing your courage and not giving in to the forces of evil. Thank you so much for coming. The Canadian Jewish Literary Awards is a celebration. It celebrates and recognizes and rewards the finest Canadian Jewish writing on subjects with Jewish themes. Some had suggested that perhaps we should postpone today's celebration, that we would all be too sad to celebrate. But wiser voices prevailed, and we were advised by our community leaders not to back down, that we should do our best to show our resilience and come together as a community and share the values and the creativity that define us. We've decided that in order to affirm life and hope, celebrating our authors could provide comfort at this difficult time. I grew up as part of a community of Holocaust survivors from Vilna. Every year, the Vilna Foreign would hold a memorial service for those 70,000 innocent souls, including my grandmother Fega and my aunt Sonia, who were shot down in the killing fields of Ponari. We took comfort from singing the partisan song written by Hirsch Glick. I'll give you a little piece of it. It's in Yiddish. It says, "Sollt nicht keinmal as du gehst am letzten Weg, holz Himmeln bleien verstellen bleie Tag, svette Putton unser Trott wir seinen da," which says, "Never say that this is the final road for you. Though leaden skies may cover up sunny days, our steps beat out this message. We are here, and we hope you find comfort." Once again, the Israel and Golda Koshitsky Center for Jewish Studies at York University is our main sponsor and our host. The center is a vital and gracious partner in helping us present the Canadian Jewish Literary Awards, and I want to recognize the valuable contribution of the center's coordinator, Julie Feinberg. She's always so accommodating and efficient, especially this year. My sister, Irene Bloomstone, died a couple of weeks ago, just as the crutch came for organizing this event. Julie stepped in to pick up the slack and make sure that everything was perfect. I want to say thank you to Julie. I want to introduce the president of York University, Rhonda Lenton, just to say a few words of greeting to us. Here's Rhonda.
I'll be brief. The 2023 Canadian Jewish Literary Awards are being presented at a time of existential crisis for Jews in Israel and around the world. They help us through this dark time by reinforcing our historical memory, reminding us of our resilience as a people, and prodding us to imagine a better future. They honor the current generation of Jewish scholars and writers, and with the establishment of awards such as the Irving Abella Award in History, acknowledge the seminal contribution of our literary pioneers. Above all, the awards proclaim loudly, Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you.
I want to welcome and to introduce Kalman Weiser, the director of the Israel and Golda Koshitsky Center for Jewish Studies at York University, for his welcome.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming today. It's a great honor for the Center for Jewish Studies at York University to host the Canadian Jewish Literary Awards. It is one of the many Canadian Jewish cultural events scheduled this year at York. But obviously this one is different. As you can imagine, and as Edward has told you, it was no easy decision to go through with today's program. Pain, sadness, anger, anxiety, depression have gripped us all in these last days, and we will continue to do so, to be gripped by these feelings for some time to come. We mourn the dead and pray for the safety of friends and loved ones. In these circumstances, it hardly seems appropriate to celebrate such wonderful achievements as those of the authors we recognize today. But I consulted with Edward, and he convinced me that it is more important to show that life goes on, to celebrate the beauty of the human spirit and the marvels of human creativity in the face of so much inhumanity. Above all, we must not be cowed by fear or immobilized by sorrow. I also received an email from one of my former students at York who made the same message abundantly clear to me. Yuri Kiyum came from Korea to study at York more than a decade ago. She is now completing a doctorate in refugee studies at Ben Gurion University in the Negev in Israel, very close to Gaza. She told me of all the mundane things people do, cook for each other, clean, even tell jokes, to keep their spirits up, and the myriad ways they help each other and ensure each other's safety. And I'll quote her, "Israel has taught me this for real. Life must go on and must be lived. This is what we do together right now, although or because we are dying inside. Therefore, humbly speaking, I think you must try to be fully present and, if possible, enjoy your time with your family. Writing you gave me a lot of a break, way more than you'd know. Thank you." I'm also reminded of the annual conference held by YIVO, the Yiddish Scientific Institute in New York, in January 1944. The organizers were themselves refugees from Hitler's Europe. They proceeded with the event despite their profound feelings of impotence and despair. They were confident that life, culture, and scholarship had to go on. But the audience of some 2,000 people at the conference also rose spontaneously to their feet to recite Kaddish, the traditional Aramaic prayer for the dead. In that spirit, I ask you all to rise and join me in reciting Kaddish for all those who have lost. יתגדל ויתקדש שמך רבה. בעלמא דברכותה וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. We are absorbed in the horrors of the current war in Israel and Gaza, but we must not lose sight of the fact that we are present here in Toronto. We must be thankful for the many blessings Canada has bestowed on us. I would therefore like to read a land acknowledgement. We recognize that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of York University. York University acknowledges its presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. The area known as Takaranto has been caretaken by the Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat. It is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region. Thank you for your patience in a day of many speeches. Thank you for coming, and congratulations to all the award winners.
The Canadian Jewish Literary Awards grow in stature every year, and they become a cornerstone in the Canadian Jewish community's cultural calendar. Thanks to support from the Koshitsky Center and from the Jewish Study programs across Canada. I want to acknowledge our donors, our benefactors, our supporters, and the members of the community who have helped us through the years. Through the generosity of our patrons, we've raised the funds to sustain the awards program. Although these are challenging times, we're growing even stronger. We have created the Irving Abella Award in History as part of the Canadian Jewish Literary Awards. It will be given annually, supported by the Friends of this giant of scholarship who's left an indelible imprint on Canadian Jewish studies. Thank you to Rosie Abella for agreeing that this award is the appropriate tribute to the memory of Irving Abella. I think, and I hope you agree, that the Canadian Jewish Literary Awards is the perfect venue to celebrate the life and accomplishments of Irving Abella. The award recognizes the finest books with Jewish themes and subjects by Canadian authors in a variety of genres. They build pride in the creative achievements that reflect Jewish themes and ideas. Irving Abella was a writer, and the Irving Abella Award in History recognizes the best Canadian writing in Jewish history. Culture is a major measure of the vibrancy of Jewish life in Canada. The Canadian Jewish Literary Awards contributes to the health of that communal culture by promoting not just Jewish writers and editors, but Jewish ideas, creativity, and scholarship. Honoring the best books of the year in the various genres allow us to better understand ourselves and our collective past, our shared presence, and the uncertain world of our future. The Canadian Jewish Literary Awards had so many good submissions this year that the jury was hard-pressed to decide, but we discussed, debated, and persevered. The depth and breadth of the books we considered shows the vibrancy of the culture and the appeal of Jewish themes for fiction and nonfiction writers. While the cash value of the prizes we are giving out this year is significant for the writers, and we've doubled it, it's the reputation and standing of this jury that underscores its importance. I'd like to introduce the distinguished jury who worked so hard to narrow it down. Rhonda Ratto is the award-winning author of 15 books, 15 children's and youth books. Andrew Cohen is a best-selling author, an award-winning journalist, and associate professor of journalism at Carleton University in Ottawa. Mark Fryman holds a PhD in modern thought and literature. As a lawyer, he was Deputy Attorney General for Ontario, and he was the president of the Canadian Jewish Congress. David Kaufman is the J. Richard Schiff Chair for the Study of Canadian Jewry in the History Department here at York University. Anna Porter is one of Canada's most notable publishers and editors. She founded Key Porter Books. She's the author of 5 novels and 5 nonfiction books, including Kasner's Train, which won a Canadian Jewish Book Awards. Chantal Ringuet is an award-winning author and a translator from Yiddish to French. She's a poet. The book she edited about Leonard Cohen won a Canadian Jewish Literary Awards. And then there's me. Chantal and Rhonda are traveling and won't be here in person, but they'll be presenting on video. The Canadian Jewish Literary Awards is honoring 9 outstanding books for 2023, as well as a Special Achievement Award and a special citation. They are truly outstanding. You'll meet the authors later in person or virtually, and you'll hear more about their books. I just want to mention their names. The recipient of the first Irving Abella Award in History is Doris Bergen for her book Between God and History, Military Chaplains in Nazi Germany. For biography memoirs, the recipient is Moshe Safdie for If Walls Could Speak, My Life in Architecture. Absurdistan, Prague at the End of History by Derek Slater is the choice in scholarship. For poetry, it's The Most Charming Preachers by Gary Barwin. The fiction winner is The Ribbon Leaf by Laurie Weber. The Prisoner and the Writer by Heather Kamlott wins in the youth category. The Survivor, How I Survived 6 concentration camps and became a Nazi hunter is honored in the Holocaust category. In the Yiddish category, Yiddish Lives On, Strategies of Language Transmission by Rebecca Margulies is the choice in Yiddish. For Jewish Thought and Culture, Sarah Ronis is the selection for Demons in the Details, Demonic Discourse and Rabbinic Culture in Late Antique Babylonia. Simone Pierre Lacasse gets a special citation for Les Juifs de la Révolution Tranquille.